Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to New Vegas, where today we're going to be taking a look at two weapons in New Vegas. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ballistic Glove and the unique version of it, the Two-Step Goodbye. So the Ballistic Glove is in the base game of New Vegas. However, the Two-Step Goodbye is a gunrunner's arsenal weapon, so you will need that DLC in order to get it. The Ballistic Glove is only used, I believe, by Caesar's Legion's guards. They're the only ones that have ballistic fists that I'm aware of, and nobody really sells ballistic fists. I think maybe the Great Khans might, but they're about the only ones I can think of that would sell the regular ballistic fist. This one is a explosive gun on a glove that you can punch stuff with. This will then explode and deal damage to whatever you hit with it. It has a really cool effect. It's a really cool weapon overall. This is actually not the first time we've seen this weapon in the Fallout series, since it's technically in Fallout Tactics as well, where in that one you actually did have to load in shotgun shells into it. This one you don't actually have to load things into it, although that would be really cool if you could load like 12 gauge into this. So this one requires 100 unarmed and 9 strength to wield. I believe this is the highest requirement out of any unarmed weapon in the game, which makes sense. You do have essentially a cannon strapped to your arm that you're punching stuff with. There are real life gun glove things. I don't know how practical they are or how often they were actually used, but they're usually small caliber guns. This seems to be a much larger caliber gun. This one does 80 damage on hit, so it hits extremely hard. 87 damage per second, so it doesn't attack very quick, but it still has good damage per second because of its damage per hit. This one has 80 crit damage as well, which is extremely high crit damage. It makes it so you can do a lot of damage with this one. 1 times crit modifier, so no extra crits here, but still standard crits are quite nice, especially if you're hitting sneak crits. This one only costs 28 action points to use for some reason. It's actually quite good in VATS, and I don't know why. This one weighs 6, so it is kind of heavy for a unarmed weapon, but you only need to carry around 1 of these, so that might not be such a big deal. And the Ballistic Glove has 80 item HP, which isn't the highest. It can break fairly fast, but once you're getting these, you're probably going to be mid to high leveled, in which case you'll probably be able to fix these up, especially if you have jury rigging. Then they're really easy to fix up, since then you can fix it with any other unarmed weapon. For the pros of the Ballistic Glove, this one does really high damage per hit, as you would kind of hope for. This one also has pretty high damage per second because of how high damage per hit it has, and this thing is just really cool. I really like the Ballistic Glove. It's one of my favorite weapons in New Vegas, at least for an unarmed weapon. It is really cool, and there's a lot of cool unarmed weapons in New Vegas. Major cons to these, though, are that they are very rare. Like I said, I think only the Legion Guard really have them, and maybe some vendors like the Khans might sell them. I honestly haven't checked. Usually I just get them off of the Legion Guards and use those ones, and these do have low item HP. So if you're not at high leveled or you don't have jury rigging, this one can be a little bit more of a pain to fix up or find people to fix up, because it's going to cost you a lot since these are fairly expensive. There are also quite a few perks that help out with these, basically all the unarmed and melee perks that we've talked about before. So Slayer to attack faster, Super Slam to knock enemies down, that one's really strong with this one. Piercing Strike in order to punch through armor, which you might not need with this weapon, but hey, you might as well have it. And Purifier to kill things like Deathclaws and Super Mutants. The Ballistic Glove can kill Deathclaws actually quite easy, especially if you have high action point cost, and if you're running perks like Super Slam or Paralyzing Palm, where you can knock them down and kill them really easy, because if they can't fight back, it's really easy to beat them to death. The Ballistic Glove, I think, is one of the best unarmed weapons in the game, and the regular Ballistic Glove I'd put all the way up into S tier. I think it's fantastic. Now let's move over to the unique version, which is called the Two-Step Goodbye. You have to buy this one from the gunrunners, and it's going to cost you a lot. This one is one of the max priced weapons, similar to like the Bowser, so you're not going to be able to get this super cheap. It's going to cost you a lot even if you have very high barter, and even though making money in New Vegas isn't particularly hard, this one is still going to take a chunk out of your cash. So the Two-Step Goodbye is actually quite a bit different from the regular Ballistic Glove. This one also requires 100 unarmed and 9 strength in order to wield, so very high requirements as well. This one does 70 damage per hit, less than the regular Ballistic Glove, 76 damage per second, which is also okay based on its damage. This one only does 10 crit damage rather than the 80 crit damage that the regular one has. The reason for this is that this one actually has a 4 times crit modifier, being one of the highest, if not the highest, out of any of the unarmed weapons, as well as this one costs 28 action points, same as the regular Ballistic Fist, weighs 6, and has 80 item HP. So all around, this one just seems like it has lower stats than the regular Ballistic Fist, which is true. However, this one does have a unique effect of when you kill an enemy with a crit, then you can put a bomb on their corpse, and this will then explode after a few seconds. This does damage to everything in the area. You are not immune to this. It's also really easy to ragdoll yourself with this if you're not paying attention, because it's pretty easy to step on your own explosives this way. This might not do a whole lot of explosive damage, but it still will do damage to you. This one is arguably worse than the Ballistic Glove most of the time, because the explosive on a kill doesn't matter a whole lot of the time. Since the fight might be over at that point, you might just hurt yourself. You can hurt yourself with it, whereas the regular Ballistic Fist, you don't have to worry about that one. The two-step goodbye is a little bit awkward. However, on my recent run where I did 10 times the enemy spawns, the two-step goodbye is actually pretty good because you're fighting so many enemies that you can actually get pretty good value from it. It's just in the regular game, you're usually not swarmed by enemies over and over again to where this is really going to make a huge difference. It can kind of help for small enemies, clearing them up a little bit quicker, but most of the time this isn't like really needed. So the two-step goodbye I'd actually put lower than the Ballistic Fist. I'd put this one into A tier because it still has really high damage and it is still a very fun weapon even though it might be a less practical weapon. I think the regular Ballistic Glove is just a better way to go out of the two of them. And that'll do it for the Ballistic Glove and the two-step goodbye. Tell me your thoughts on these weapons. I know some people absolutely hate the two-step goodbyes, so I'm wondering where you would put that on your list. Most people really love the Ballistic Glove though. That one is really cool and I enjoy it too myself. The two-step goodbye I find fun, but it is flawed. So I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.